welcome back to Harmony and Motherhood. I just came here to share a little of my thoughts on co-parenting, and I took a little notes, so just bear with me. But how to co-parent effectively, and so I made me a little matcha, and it's super good. This is like the best one I made. It is so good. But I came here to talk about co-parenting. And here's a myth about co-parenting. Basically, when you co-parent, they say that you have to be friends. Or it's a myth that you should be friends with your ex or whomever in order to co-parent. And that's not true. Me and my ex-husband, although we did not start off like co-parenting really well after our divorce, it was horrible, just to be honest. Once I dated, like I took like a year and a half, I was single, and then I decided to start dating again. That kind of took a turn for the worse because, I don't know, maybe he thought I wasn't going to date, but I could tell how that affected our relationship. So it was negative. So what I did was, and I'll tell you guys that in a minute, but the truth is, in order to have effective co-parenting with your ex or whomever that person may be, it's important that you have mutual respect. That's the biggest thing, is that your respect is there. You guys respect each other, especially in front of the child. But respect has to be there. You need to make sure you're communicating effectively. And finally, you need to make sure that the child needs come first. Like whatever the child is needing, that child needs or the kids' needs are first. So whatever is going to benefit the kids, that is what you guys need to think about. Not in regards to how you feel or how the dad feels. It's important to understand it's about the child and how is it going to affect the child's life. Will it have a negative impact or a positive impact? So we're going to focus on the weekly, basically our weekly schedule. And because we had a really good weekly schedule, like he would get him on the weekends. I would update him about anything. So before I moved here to Atlanta, I was staying in New Orleans or Baton Rouge, which is not far, but he's still in New Orleans. So he would get my son on the weekends. I did schooling and everything throughout the week. We would meet. We had a meeting point every Friday. He would help out with homework or projects. He would drive and meet us. Any updates with school, I would contact him. If he had any concerns, he would call me. I learned not to be defensive. I listened. And while I listened, my light went out, you guys. So just bear with me. My lighting is out, but that's okay. But while I listened, before I would respond, I started, because I wasn't doing this at first, but I learned to listen to be understanding. So I would listen, and then I would respond in regards to any concerns. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's see how can we come to a mutual agreement. It was the same on his part. He was in the beginning, like, when we talk about weekly schedules and stuff, he would try and dictate, but I had to tell him that you do what you need to do with him on your time respectfully, and I'll do what I want to do with him on my time or whatever. So I just had to put my foot down and made sure that my ex-husband understood that we were no longer together. And as long as I had his best interest, and I believe he has his best interest, I'm not going to question what you're doing with him, which, would be things that he may have not want him to go to this person's house or whatever. But it's like, that's my family. He's not in harm's way. And you bring him wherever you want to bring him, So it's just stuff like that. So we came to a very good understanding about, like, schedules, how we're going to do things. Now, since I moved to Atlanta, scheduling is a bit different. He gets him like maybe twice a month, which is different. But because it was for the benefit of my son, we talked about it, and he was upset about me moving here because that's 6 hours away from him. But he understood that the school systems and stuff were better. So I appreciate him. He drives all the way to Atlanta when it's his time to get him, goes home. He gets him every holiday. The summer, he usually gets him all summer. This summer, he's only going to get him for about 2 weeks. But for the summer, he gets him. Last summer, he had him. I was here last summer. I communicate with him in regards to updates, any decision that needs to be made, hospitals, just keeping him in the loop. And personal lives, we don't communicate in regards to personal lives. Like whatever he does, I don't question him, and we're not now at a point where he does not question me, because every time he would question me, I would always divert back to, if it's not about the child, that does not have anything to do with you, we're no longer together. And but I was always respectful, and I always was positive about anything that was being thrown at me. I always was positive. I always said, have a great day. And then from there, it caused him to have the same energy. So, like, when we first started out, I think I was on holidays. So, like, he would want him for certain holidays, and I was just like, but then I realized, I was like, I'm just going to let him get him on the holidays, because I always have him. And it also gave me a chance to get a little break. So that was good, because I would be off of work during the holidays, too. So, of course, I wanted my son. But, I got a chance to hang out or whatever. So, share responsibilities. We talk about money. We talk about all those things. If not, like, at least monthly, twice a week. Twice a month, something like that. We'll talk about share responsibilities and what he needs to do. If he needs, what he needs from me, what I need from him. And it's a village. We help each other. So, yeah, the schedules before and after moving, I talked to you guys about that, how he was getting him every weekend. I didn't do weekends. He got him holidays. In the summers now, I do all weekends. He'll get him maybe twice a month. Holidays, if he can, he'll get him. If not, he's with me. Most of the time he gets him for holidays. This summer, he's only getting him for part of the summer because he has to work. But I never complain if he has to work, like, and it's his turn. Like, we're really good at that. Like, if he needs me to get him, I'm going to get him. If I need him to get him, he's going to get him. Like, we never like, no, it's your turn. It's your turn to get him. That's not the custody, whatever. Because it's supposed to be 50-50. But we usually we do what works for us. Like, we have each other back. Like, if he can't, I can. If I can't, he can. And that's just how we do it. Like, we don't make it hard for each other. Like, if he say, I got to do this, I need you to get him, and he was supposed to have him for 2 weeks, bring him. If I say I need you to get him, he's going to find a way. Like, I have a trip coming up. For the most part, he'll find a way to get him. So we don't argue about small things. Like, small things, we try not to make that, like, we try not to argue about those small things. Like, that's just a big thing for us, is not to argue about small things. So things that you need to know is, like, make sure that you're listening, you're putting the child first, in order to have, like, a good weekly schedule. You're communicating. That's important. Communication is the biggest thing. It's like, y'all are keeping in touch, like, at least trying to have a conversation, especially if y'all are near each other, once a week, about updating them about what's going on with the child. Try not to take nothing too personal, because everybody's going through things. Like, I look at things, and if he's, like, can't do something at the moment, like, and I try not to take something personal, because in the end, what I do for my son is going to come back. That's my son. So I was always positive in regards to, like, whatever he was trying to throw at me. I would just always be positive about it. I was to the point where nothing could break me. Like, I created peace for myself after that marriage, and nothing could break me. So I was just always positive with him. And in return, he saw that anything that was not, like I said, boundaries, and anything that was not about my son and it was not harming him, I would end the conversation. I would reflect or divert back to my son. And that's how I would always keep it about him. All of my stuff was about him. And I had to do that for months, years maybe, before it finally set in. Like, whatever she's doing, she doesn't question me, I cannot question her. So that's what helped me. It was not easy, though, y'all. It was not easy starting off. But we co-parent really well now. And because I have moved out of the state, and our schedules are so kind of, like, different now, because I'm here. Like, if he comes to Atlanta, if he needs to use the restroom, he can come in. I'm not dating anyone, and if I was, he would still be welcomed in. If he needs to help DJ, like there's a project he wants to come into Atlanta, he's welcome. My son had a party at my old house that I was staying in here. He came and he was welcomed into the house. He stood there the whole party. So because I made such a drastic move, I allow my ex to be a part of my son's life, whether it's him having to come here and, you know, see him here, sit in the living room with him because they have nowhere to go. I opened my space because I did make a move, and they do have such a close relationship. So I feel, not that you have to, you do not have to open your home, especially if y'all not on their terms, but because we are where we are and there's no boundaries are being crossed, like it's strictly about my son. Like it was never, after our marriage, after our divorce, it was never us. It was all about him. It was not like, I never overstepped. Like I set boundaries and I never crossed them. And so that's what you cannot play. You cannot straddle the fence. It's either you're in, you're out. It's no in between because it's going to confuse the situation. Challenges that we faced. And also share responsibilities. So our schedule always also included us talking about updates, homework, schooling, share responsibilities. So weekly we would talk about, you know, what he needs. He's always been good about that. If he needs tutoring, they're good about that. If he wants to play some sort of sports, whenever I get an alert or something, I'll give him a call and I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. And he's good about supporting whatever my son wants to do. So that's a plus for us. Challenges were holidays. When we first started off, he wanted him every holiday, and I was super against that. But then I had to understand that I have him throughout the year, and he really does not spend time with him. And plus, so yeah, just make sure y'all are communicating, keeping up communication. You have to listen. You have to put the child first. Whatever does not, like, if it's not helping a child, it has nothing. Y'all shouldn't be talking about it. No matter who he's talking to, no matter whatever, no matter who she's talking to, whoever is talking to whoever, that has nothing to do with you. If it's not affecting, harming, then don't go ahead on and make things up in your head like, oh, I know she doing this, because you can't make assumptions either. Read the 4 agreements. It'll help you guys. You can't make assumptions. Like, you gotta know for a fact that this person is doing your child something. And sometimes it be very spiteful when you're like, oh no, I don't want him around her, or I don't want her around him. You know, especially if they've been knowing this person for a long time. I feel like, you know, don't make things harder. Now, if you need to, yes, but out of spite and out of, you know, feeling some type of way, like, don't make things harder. Like, don't sweat the little things. If it is not affecting your child, if it is not making your child better, don't bring it up. Like, don't discuss it with the other person, because that has nothing to do with you. You're just I feel like that's control, and you're trying to control the other person's life. And that's not what we're doing in 2024. We're living our own life, and we are blessing our child, making sure our child is protected. We know our child is protected, especially if we pray to the universe, to the divine, to the creator. Like, pray over your child and just not focus on the small things. Focus on the betterment of your child, and it makes the relationship so much better by being positive too. Be positive, especially if even if the person is being negative. Like, you gotta overshadow that. Thank you. Have a nice day. Don't raise your voice. Don't get too loud. All of that is going to create a struggle, a power struggle, and you don't want to struggle for power, especially when it comes to your child, like, because then it throws you off. So continue to be, and you need to be whole as a parent, especially as the custodial parent. So you want to make sure that you're making sure your mental is, because baby, co-parenting can be damaging to your mental health. So you don't want to put out all that negative, put out positive, and go on with your life, go on with your day. Don't surround yourself in that energy, because it can affect you. So just make sure that you are being positive, you're communicating, you're listening, and you're putting the child first. And making sure that schedule is on point weekly. Like, communication is big for scheduling. Like, put the child first. You know, don't be so big on who can get who. I can't do this because it's your week and it's if you have plans, yes, set your boundaries and put your foot down. Don't let nobody walk all over you. Or you got to get him this weekend. No, you need to get him. But if it's fair and you guys are, you know, be fair about it, because it's going to all come back to you. Like, be fair about parenting and who gets the kids and how they get the kids. Fairness is important. Like, be fair in regards to who can get him, who is supposed to get her, how are you going to do it, how are you going to split the time. Like, even if you have a court schedule, like, if that does not work for y'all can change it outside of. And at the end of the day, make sure y'all have an understanding. Like an understanding of like, this is the schedule. It may switch up from time to time. However, this is what we're going to stick to. Things come up, things change. And if you, like me and my ex-husband, we have a very laid-back schedule. Like, it's not nothing that we have to enforce because we look out for each other. So if you don't have that type of relationship where someone is like putting their foot down, like, no, you have to do this today because this is what we signed up for, you know, you may want to stick to that schedule or try and get your a modification of the schedule if it's affecting you and you feel like you shouldn't have all the time or whatever. All I'm saying is, for the most part, give out that positivity. If you have a schedule, stick to the schedule. Communicate weekly about changes in the schedule. Like, call, you know, like I'll tell you this one time I overcame. So we had a communication issue, and basically I was not communicating much to him about what was going on in my son's life. So much so, and it wasn't purposely done, but he went to the school to get my son, and they would not let him get my baby because his name was not on the pickup thing. And I thought I put him on there, but it was, you have to check something. And he called and we talked, and I was like, I didn't do that purposely. And I wound up going back and check all my stuff to make sure he was added on the pickup thing. But we overcame that. Like, we overcame that. We definitely overcame, like, putting our differences to the side and putting the child first. Especially when it came to scheduling and who the child is around and stuff like that. Like, we came to agreement and understanding about, you know, if it's not hurting, harming, affecting a child, like, that's really up to that parent. And, you know, the parents, you know, you don't want to have your but if you know that, I'm not a person to have my son around everybody. So, like, I feel like, don't make it difficult for me. You know, I'm talking about when you start dating too. Like, they'll try and make it difficult. Like, those things shouldn't be difficult, you know. So we just learn how to communicate better. Like, we learn how to listen and hear each other out. And then, okay, one more last thing. Like, I wanted to get my son's haircut, and he didn't want to get my son's haircut. He was like, I want to take him. And my son was, his confidence was dropping because people were calling him a girl. Go watch the video. I have a video where it shows him getting his haircut, but his hair was super long, and they would call him a girl and stuff. And he was like, I don't want the hair. Now, it was so much, I would put it in a bun. And his dad was like, well, I want to, and I've been telling his dad for years he wants his hair cut. So his dad was like, I want to cut his hair, you know. And I was like, okay. And I saved it. I mean, it's been a year now, and I've been saving it. So what I finally did was, I was like, you know what, I cannot. So I was just like, my son wants his haircut. Like, I'm putting my foot down. This is, you know, his confidence is going down. He wants his haircut. So, you know, he was like, you know what, I cannot come down there as soon as he needs me. So, you know, you go ahead. And I told him, I was like, I would video record, I would FaceTime you, whatever you need for you to feel comfortable. And I don't want to take that away from you, but I also don't want him to feel that he has to walk around and lack confidence because of his hair. And, like, I don't think you really want to cut it, and he does not want it. So we came to an agreement. He was like, okay, do it. And once he saw it, he loved it. You know, he was happy. I don't know. I think he didn't say he was happy about it. But we ended up cutting his hair. But I communicated with him. I never did it without his permission. But I also wanted him to understand the effect it was having on my son. And we both agreed together that, you know, we could go. And I was never mean about it. I waited years and years and years. And finally, I was like, I don't think you're going to do it. You've been seeing him. You still haven't done it. He's ready. I'm ready. You know, he was just like, go ahead, do it. And I didn't do it. I just didn't go ahead on it. I just didn't do it without him knowing, you know. So just make sure that y'all two are on the same page and you have understanding. And it's easy to overcome those challenges. So what I would encourage you guys to do is go into the comment section and talk about your own co-parenting tips if you have any for other viewers. Also, talk about any challenges in the comment sections that you have, like, overcome or you're going through, and maybe someone else can help you in regards to, like, challenges that you are going through. I also want you guys to watch my next video on communicating effectively, like some strategies to communicate effectively as co-parents. So I need you guys to like, comment, subscribe, share. If you guys are still watching, go ahead on and click that subscribe button because you have been here, which means you need this information, and I'm going to give you guys the truth about co-parenting, being a single parent, how to get through it, how to live your dreams, how to exhale, how to not let up. I'm going to give y'all all of it. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you guys for visiting. I'll be back with more co-parenting information, tips, tools, strategies. Have a good day. Love you. Peace.